Hello, good morning. Welcome on board Centerpoint AM 45. My name is Mercy here. I'm excited to know you've been able to join us on another edition of the program. It is the 37th anniversary special edition. Welcome on board. Once again, happy anniversary to all of us are quite the anniversary of our statehood. That's right, to celebrate 37 years of grace, 37 years of growth, 37 years of development here and there, and we look forward to more. All right. Today on Center Point AM for 5, we'll be taking a look at one special artifact when it comes to tourism in Akwa Ibom State. Have you ever been to the National Museum? All right, we'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about some people in the diaspora. That's right. Of course, we'll be celebrating Akwa Ibom State. But first of all, let's quickly show you headlines, national dailies that we have on board the program, so we can talk about some of the issues, trending. Some of the issues we're talking about, nationally. Let's quickly take a look at the Daily Times this morning. The Daily Times comes with this headline. This is female soldier who accused senior officers of sexual harassment. This story has been trending. The female soldier had been making videos on social media accusing some senior officers of sexually harassing her. So that's the outcome of that. Nigeria Army displaces female soldier who accused senior officers of sexual harassment. We have a pictorial that makeshift structures constructed by homeless residents of Maiduguri, the aftermath of the collapse of the Adu Dam and the tragic loss of lives. Sad one for people in Maiduguri. As the pictorial we have, and then beneath the pictorial, why Justice Binta Nyako withdrew from Nnamdi Kanu's trial. We move above the nameplates. Some stories there. Edopo, 5 returning police officers dead, 11 others injured in auto crash. And then several other stories. Fresh cholera outbreak kills over 41 in G. Now we move from this. Next is the first news. CBN hikes interest rates to 27.25%. Tougher time here for Nigerians as inflation fight intensifies. Despite the denials of not, increasing the interest rates. Some weeks back, yesterday we were awash with this news. After they had announced the increase of interest rate. Picture here, that's of it to Borno State by some people from the pictorial is about. Beneath the pictorial, second sounds alarm. 2027 election at risk under APC rule, perhaps from the aftermath of the Edo polls that happened over the weekend. Alright, APC slams Diaga Africa for questioning Edo election outcome. We get above the nameplate. Actress throwing tomato to women. Stay with your cheating husbands. Avoid divorce. Find out reasons why she says so by getting a copy of the first news. We move away from that. Next is the Punch. The Punch comes with this subsidy. Federal government may spend 236 billion naira monthly on imported Dangote petrol. Marketers, others back Dangote on subsidy removal. Merman lifts over 50 million liters of Dangote petrol. From Ogun State. Last week, build the nameplate. Till the same store. Yes, bank sell $9 billion US. Naira weakens to 1,670 naira per dollar. All right, those are some of the stories from the front page of the Punch. Next is the Guardian. The Guardian, I always love the front page of the Guardian. Some graphic representations there. An overview of the Nigerian labor market. You can see here working age population, labor force, the unemployed 5.3%, the employed part time, that's for the labor force. For by the right hand side, you can see the not in labor force. So let's begin from the labor force. The unemployed 5.3%, that's they have the qualifications but they are unemployed. Employed part time, menial jobs here and there, 84%, and then full time employed 73.2%. That's for the labor force. The not in labor force, you can see not looking for work 30.6%, retired 36.2%, and then informal employment 92.7%. Find out details about this infographics by getting a copy of the Guardian. You know, it comes with this rider: growing jobless, self-employed Nigerians deem tax potential. All right. And then for the other stories, Tinubu advocates multilateralism, permanent UNSC seats, debt forgiveness, and several other stories. 5,225 slain officers, still on the front page of the Guardian. 5,225 slain officers benefits 6 billion naira in a year, plus several other stories. We move away from the Guardian. Next is the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust comes with the rider: army discharges female soldier who was accused of that female soldier, and cites male challenge on a written of allegation. Women Affairs Ministry silence. In these days, Nigerians, the Ministry of Women Affairs usually responds to situations. They are always on hand, giving some, you know, they are always involved. So Nigerians are waiting to hear what they have to say on this situation. Perhaps they are still doing their investigations. All right. And then beneath the pictorial, Nigerians grappling with, that's according to Senate President Gospel Pabio. Then just beneath the nameplate, several stories. Zamfara Lawal Matawale's feud gets messier. Tinubu 6 UN permanent seats, debt forgiveness for Nigeria, others. We move away from the Daily Trust. Next is the Matrix. Comes with this rider. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the red section from the front of the page of the Matrix. The unemployment time bomb hits 5.3% in first quarter of 2024. Youth unemployment drops to 8.4%. Worries as some more youths are getting discouraged from seeking employment. Perhaps this is according to the NBS. Youth getting discouraged from seeking employment, perhaps because you go and apply, you have the qualifications. At the end of the day, you don't get the job, and you're discouraged. Okay, that's the Nigerian situation. All right. For the other stories, NPC meeting reactions trail interest rate hike, and several more stories. Next is the Vanguard this morning. Unemployment still same story. The report by the National Bureau of Statistics. Unemployment up by 5.3% as CBN hikes interest rate to 27.25%. And then beneath the pictorial, we have reactions. We have reactions as reactions trail Dangote's call for petrol subsidy removal, total removal. I saw some figures yesterday. Some people making some speculations. on how much petrol will be sold if subsidy is total. But we thought subsidy was removed. Here we are in Nigeria. Next is the Tribune. Tribune comes. Um, let's see if we can get the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Concerned that CBN raises interest rates to 27.25%. Still a recurring story. Above the nameplate, Nigeria's peculiar petrol pricing confusion. That's an editorial. That's the front page comment coming from the editorial of the Nigerian Tribune. Indeed, it looks to me like we are in confusing times these days. Move away from the Tribune. Next is the Nation. The Nation, NNPCL, Dangote Refinery, raw rages over price of petrol, and some other recurring stories. Next is Business Day. Interest rates, still the interest rate story. Interest rate hike, eyes inflation, naira stability. Cardoso says money supply grew by 35 trillion naira in 8 years. That's the much we can take from the Business Day. Next is News Direct, some recurring stories. Well, let's take a look at the nameplates. NDLEA nabs ex-convict with cocaine worth 4.6 billion naira. Alright, we have a picture that of UBA guru, Tony Elemalu, and McCain. This is from the ongoing United Nations General Assembly, 79th. That's right. Then some recurring stories. The statistics from the NBS with regards unemployment rate in the country. And so we move from the Nigerian News Direct. Next is the blueprint. Steals this recurring story. Experts differ as CBN raises lending rates to 27.25%. Next is the leadership. The leadership. Matawale denies links with bandits, demands proof. Blame Buhari for current economic hardship. That's according to the CBN. Hope they do not get to deny this these days, where we hear some statements attributed to some people. At the end of the day, you hear we didn't say so. So this is being attributed to the CBN. Says Tinubu inherited battered economy. We are battling with repercussions of 35 trillion naira ways and means. The ways and means that was talked about over and over again a couple of years back. Okay. And stakeholders raised concern over the 27.25% interest rate. Next is This Day newspaper. This Day newspaper. Let's take a look at some fresh story here. Jonathan, Edo Gibapil is proof technology can solve our electoral challenges. Says politicians with dirty minds would manipulate process, canvass with attitudinal change. Second is APC has buried Nigeria's democracy. 2027 won't come. Ruling party wants Yaga Africa. Yaga Africa is a polling institute that came out with, their outlook of the Edo polls. Then some stories, Shimole Obaseki is politically dead. And then U.S. government urges stakeholders to support process of challenging poll results. We move away from this newspaper. Next is the Independent, the Daily Independent. Nigerians grappling with realities of soaring living costs. That's according to Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Says challenges testing the very fabric of our society. Tinubu asks Senate to confirm Kekereekun, that's a female, a woman, as the chief judge of Nigeria. Here we have Senate, the pictorial of Senate Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriation. We have that Senator Solomon Adeola. We have Senate President Godswill Akpabio. We have Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, the leader of the Senate, yesterday at the National Assembly. Last but not least, we have the Business Times. Experts fault MPC decision to hike MPR by 50 basis points to 27.25%. And why federal government should end petrol subsidy that's gone into Dangote. And we have a writer here. I disagree with Dangote on complete subsidy removal, says Okupe. That's much we can take, showing you headlines from the front pages of the national dailies that we have on the program this morning. Thanks for your time. Do stay with us. We have more for you on Center Point AM 45.
This is our home, where we all belong. The place where life is beautiful. The peaceful ambience we enjoy when we live together in unity and love. We go stand together, we go make them better. We be brothers and sisters, no matter where we be. It's all no matter where we day, we are one. Let's live together in peace and harmony.
Everything you go through in life is preparing you for your next assignment. My father was a police officer, so I lived in the barracks. A barracks is like a mini in Nigeria. You find everybody there. My dad's salary, of course, couldn't meet the family income, so I had to sell soft drinks for my mother so that we can make up the family income. I used to take soft drinks from our home and I'll go to the airport and sell. It was fun. I didn't know I was going to ever get into hotel business. So eventually, my coke hawking helped me later in life when I started running my hotel. Those little things you did became building blocks for my later days in life. And you know what? My house was built on the same street I used to go through to hawk. And so everybody that saw me hawk these soft drinks for my mother, when I bought a land there and built my house, all of those people were still alive. It's like, some of them had to break their children. Look at me mentor these kids. Today, when I drive around the streets, sometimes you find people sell and you stop by. I just remember, it used to be like this. That hawking has helped me today to be able to serve the people. Accept the things you can't change and change the things you can, and ensure that you just have the fear of God in you. I think the only person that can stop you from achieving what God has set out for you is you.
Is our vibe and go sweet to you when you show. Activities no they slow. I hear with them and 10 peace, it be that kind thing. I touch down with the but hey, fine persons we so blessed. We get the beautiful things in abundance. Now we be number one and the above. Amen. You can go for the full. Amen. You get on in the back. Amen. I feel the way. Amen. Me am away, I'm a good one. Amen. It is a woman who I'm going to be some more. Enjoy it. Yeah.
for the fun, can we missing it bang item 7 who driving and walk by boom. Till some money sang quack, so me can come in young and I do him, cause some of white boom. Akisan yan modoba overseas, pocket ice blow right, bondi top white boom. Boda, son of the soul like a DJ make powder on road, damn and it's on in a white boom. Hey, you know, guys, coming way, Bobby Dung, can they see them, can they next to them? Land of fulfillment, prowling long, I can't run the code, when we're in here. It is that I don't eat a baka, you bong, mama said trooper. Remix the blood of Moro, make Obufa. Internationally, why you want to world,
Oh God, now you be the boss, yeah. I throw a salute to. Thank you for the beautiful things where you do for us here in Akwa Ibom. Mata for a new faith, don't want to connect it is in the Tamara. It took in a same kick up my cara. The Lord is good, very, very handsome. Mama, for no for a work, you for a new you know. I got a nanny bong and a banyan to Kumana find the Taman Pasa. Hey, it's a Hamurago. I come here for a Hamurago. Let peace, unity, prosperity be a Bible. Abasi from Bible, amen. Yakin go for no for amen. Yakin in the back anymore, amen. I feel away in this area, amen. They are more way I'm a good, amen. They tell you what you know, amen. Remember, oh God, you know, the joy got you know, the poor wouldn't go yet and amen. Jackie took him, amen. Yakin go for no amen. You don't know what I get anymore, amen. Yakin para when you do me up, amen. Para to the things I want, amen. Can God come in back, I feel away, say, give me no, amen. 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 Amen.
Double D on the beats.
My name is Sharon Obowana. I am a student of the Bible. I love my Bible says. Let us write my Bible says. To the faith of greatness. Oh, Aqua, people. Let everything for one.
I just want the papers, please.
Sir.
Salary don't enter. Yes, so. And Monday never even reach it. Na salary plenty, oh. No wonder I no gree collect Roger from my hand. Shut up, sir. I'm here to bail my younger brother.
Happen.
With good laws,
Proper funding, training,
and cooperation.
if it happen.
this is our home, where we all belong. The place where life is beautiful. The peaceful ambience we enjoy when we live together in unity and love. Akwa Ibom It's only man and you know. We go stand together, we go make them better. We be brothers and sisters, no matter where we day. I play from you know. It's only man and you know. No matter where we day, we are one. Let's live together in peace and harmony. Yeah.
Alright, it's Centerpoint AM45. Many thanks for staying with us on the program. Alright. Tourism is one of the one key sector, one key point that this present administration, is passionate about because of the benefits. We are yet to tap into the full potentials. We are yet to harness the full potentials of tourism in Nigeria. So this morning we get to be joined by some people who man our museums. Yes, the museums here in Akwa Ibom, the National Museum in Uyo, the National Museum in Ikot-Ekpene, and join me in welcoming them as we'll be talking about, the museums, the benefits, what we can learn, Akwa Ibom at 37 and all of that. Join me in welcoming the curator, National Museum, Uyo, Mr. Okokun Bongobasi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. We also have Mr. Nsebong Ikon, who is the head of galleries of the National Museum Uyo. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's good to have you. Let me begin with the curator. When we talk about museums, talk to us about museums. Talk to us about what we have here in Akwa Ibom.
Yes, thank you once more again for having me. The National Museum in Akwa Ibom State, in Uyo specifically, is located along Samson Odoidiong Drive from Akar Junction. If you're driving down on that road to the right, you see our signboard there. The National Museum in Uyo is a place where we exhibit, we store, we collect, and we exhibit. That's our cultural heritage, a material culture, and our even the non-material part of our culture too. That's what the museum does. The museum is the custodian of our culture. The museum has the mandate to harness it, to keep our artifacts, to set up exhibitions, and by exhibitions we mean trying to tell the story of these artifacts to our public. That's what generally the museum does, and that's what we do here in National Museum Uyo.
Okay. We have another national museum here in Akwa Ibom State. Talk to us about that, Mr. Ikon.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have National Museum Ikot-Ekpene. National Museum Ikot-Ekpene is the affiliate of Uyo Museum.
Okay.
The operational level sets in from Uyo here, being the fact that Uyo has been before Ikot-Ekpene. National Museum Uyo was established in 1989, shortly after the state's creation. And it is the same building that was for the governor of Akwa Ibom State. Talk about the first state's creation. That was the administrative block of the National Museum Uyo, and that building was a monument by itself, being the fact that the DOS, the Brooks and the Crucians, those were the colonial masters that used that place.
Okay.
After which the county council, the Uyo local government office, and the office of the first and the second governor of Akwa Ibom State, that's Tunde Ogbeha and Colonel Godwin Abe, they have that place. So purely that place was a monument. So
where specifically?
Then Government House, at the site of the gate of the Government House.
Okay.
While going to Government House.
Okay.
That was the place until the government of Obongos Wilakwabi relocated the National Museum from the place.
Okay.
So the National Museum Ikorekpene came shortly, say some 2-3 years ago, on the basis of the honorable member that was in then House of Representatives, Honorable Pachi Etete Inema. So he was the person that spearheaded that, and the museum decided that the Ikorekpene should be given that preference. So we have the National Museum Ikorekpene, and we have a lot of exhibits in the National Museum Ikorekpene. The National Museum Ikorekpene is along a back road. So that's where we have the National Museum Ikorekpene, and we have a lot of exhibits there.
Okay. Okay, so to the curator, why is it important for states, for the nation to have museums?
Yes, thank you for that question. Museums, the importance of museum is cannot be overemphasized, so to speak. Museum is the custodian of our culture, like I said. Museum is where you will know who you are, where you are coming from, and what you are all about. The museum actually is where we keep our heritage, and it is from this heritage that the people will know how they have been living their lives in time past and how we got to where we are now. For example, in our displays, in our exhibitions, when you come, we see all these masks. Ekpo mask, we see Ekpe masquerade, we see, we see all those things. But these days, people don't just see them as entertainment. But in those days, those were the things that were used to keep order in the society.
Okay.
Policing the society. We didn't have the modern day police force, but those were the instruments to keep discipline in the society. So the history, is born by these things that we have in the museum. The objects we have in our core study, they come alive. We see them as live objects, and they come alive because of the stories that they carry. So when we collect these objects, we don't just collect objects for objects' sake. We collect the stories behind these objects. How were they made? Where were they made? What were they used for? When were they used last? And so on. So when we display these objects, we tell these stories, and that is how our young generation and even the yet unborn one, that's how they get to know who they are. For example, now you find that in our society, everybody came to believe that our culture was primitive, because that is what has been drummed into us by the colonial masters. We believe that our culture is primitive, is backward, and we should aspire towards the West if we want to be civilized. But that's not the true position. The truth of the matter is that we're far advanced, because you would now ask yourself, why would a people that consider themselves to be more civilized than us come and loot and cut away our artifacts? The museum is in the process, with collaboration of the federal government and other bodies like the Oba's Palace in Benin, in getting some of these objects repatriated. Those were objects that have been in the British Museum in Germany, in other places for years, for decades, and people have gone there to see, and you see that the technology that produced those objects are very advanced technologies. But these
and they were produced here.
They were produced here locally. Like when the white man came, even till date, you still have people trafficking, smuggling these artifacts. These are things that, if you by carbon dating, you find that a lot of them date far back, and that was a time that they claimed that we were primitive. But we are not primitive. Our line of civilization was different from their own line of civilization, but we're not primitive. So those are some of the things that we tell our young ones, our upcoming ones, even some of the elderly people that don't know that this is who we really are. The things we used to do were not primitive things. Our arts and our ways of life were not backward. That was our own way. We used to keep, like I said, we use some of these things to keep discipline in the society. Okay. There were certain things that made our society very orderly and very peaceful in those days. But those are the things that the white man saw as to get our attention to their own culture. They now tried to show to us that our own culture is backward. We should leave it, and people now started destroying these things and running away and even rejecting and refusing to be identified with our culture. You know, that, let me just digress a little into our religion, Christianity. You know, when we become Christians, people think that these things were fetish. We don't want to go that way again. Everybody has his own choice. But what we try to tell people as the museum is, rather than destroy these things, please hand them over to the museum. We will study them, we will do research on them, get information about them, and then we'll put them in our storage. We keep them, we conserve them, we preserve them there. And then when it is time for exhibiting them, we exhibit them to tell the story of our civilization in time past and how we came to where we are now. And that is one of the reasons why today we have a lot of conflict. The direction that we are taking in civilization now is very conflicting to our natural heritage. So we are struggling, so to speak, because if you play the game that somebody introduced to you, you will only be the second best in that game. So that's what we are seeing now. But if we study and know more about our culture, and know who we are, we will know how to develop along the line that we have a heritage in, and that will give us an advantage. Okay. Yes.
All right. Talking about advantage, talking about the value, the worth. Yes. And for Mr. Ikon, what's the worth? What's the value of the artifacts that we have in museums?
Actually, I want to say that the value of artifacts in the museum is valued like the currency that we have in Nigeria. Oh. Like the CBN value the currency, museum we value our artifacts as such. We know too well that like my curator have rightly said, those things that the white men must have taken to their country, some has been repatriated to the country back. In the like manner, what we have in the museum can not be seen elsewhere. We talk about the first-hand information of things in the museum that could not be seen in the society outside the museum. We value our artifacts in the sense of the fact that these are the things that talks about the people of a certain community, some ethnic group. Because if we talk about the Ekbo culture, so to say, when we talk about the Ekbo Njoro, that is called Ibibio. And we talk about Nkubia, that could be seen the other side of Vanna. So at different times, these were the things that we used to mark one occasion or the other. Like the Oran people use this other Ekbo Njoro for their festival. When it comes to the New Yam festival in Oran and other ethnic groups, they will use this. Some of these things we use for sacrifice. Most of these things we use for sacrifice. So you come to realize that most of the things that were owned by our people at that time, they valued it so very well. That's why when the creator talks about the issue of preservation of these things, we value it, we preserve it, we conserve it in the museum. When we collect this object, like the creator said, we must have the information information in terms of what it was used for, information in terms of the owners of these things, and a specific tribe that used it. So we have the Ekwe that is basically associated to Uruan people and the Efik people. So we know that when you talk about Ekwe, you can basically go to Uruan, and you know that Uruan is the owner of Ekwe. The Efik people tapped it from Uruan. So now you know the origin of these things. So you hardly can see an Uruan person that will not talk about Ekwe. So that is how it is. In Ibibio land, we have the Ekbo Njo, that it is used like when we have the New Dam festival, like the Nkara Udia of certain places. Specifically, let me talk about the Ibionibon where I'm from. So you see, it is the Ekbo Njo that would be arranged to make this event very colorful. And you see, at that time, they will bring in the Akpan Ekbu. They bring in the other one that is called Ekbun Togoyen. They bring in the Ababarukbu. So these are the different Ekbus that at that time you see on that day, those things will be there to mark the festival and to show the people the rich cultural heritage of Ibiono people as it is associated with other ethnic groups or other local government per se.
Okay. Now let me ask the curator. What's the level of how often do people come into the museum? 2 questions in one, and then what have you observed? Are the artifacts people are really interested in whenever they come to visit?
Yes, the museum is a destination. When you talk about tourism, when you talk about visitors coming in, museum is a place for the people. A museum cannot be a museum without the society, without its people. So the museum is open. People come into the museum often, and the traffic to the museum is normally boosted by the exhibition on display in the museum. And in the case of Uyo Museum, I would say, unfortunately, our environment needs a lot of intervention, and that is one of the points that we would appeal. Let me use the opportunity to appeal to the state government to come to our aid, in the sense that the museum is a place of attraction. The museum is a place where we tell our story, and as visitors come in, both from the local and international, they will want to come to the museum to know who we are and what we have in stock. But the Uyo Museum is not it needs help in that area, let me say, to really showcase these things, and we need the state government to help us in that area. And then the second prong of your question,
which of the artifacts have you observed
attracts a lot of people? Yes, people are normally interested in the artifacts that showcase their own culture. So there is no particular artifact that I would say attract people more. It depends. People have different choices. Somebody might come, maybe the Ekwe will be an interesting thing for the person. The person wants to see and ask so much questions about. Some other person will come and then they will see a mask and will want to know more about it. Some other people, it's not even any of this. Maybe a fishing instrument, something that was used. Yes, in those days for fishing. That is not common now. And one of the things that has just come to my mind is that when schools, especially when school children come in, they are always interested. We have this traditional umbrella we call Ibutu. We call Ibutu. Yes, the Ibutu was the umbrella in those days made of raffia. And it is one on the head.
Okay.
You know, circular.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
so somebody could wear that while fishing, and it's raining, and he will not leave his duty post. He will still be fishing or on the farm, and you know, it's so ingenious. You know, to think of what our forefathers did. You know, unlike today that you have the umbrella that you have to hold with your hand to do or to go anywhere you are going to. So those are some of the. So when the children come and when people come in and we show them that, they marvel. They say, how was it used? And you show them how it was used. They are enthralled. You know, so those are the type of things that attract people's attention in the museum. Some of our exhibitions, though, are not even artifacts. Some of them are pictures.
Okay.
There are some of them that are captured in pictorials.
Okay.
So we can do a pictorial exhibition, like the one we have in the Uyo Museum, in the National Museum Uyo, about the struggle for the states, that's Akwa Ibom State.
Oh.
Yes, the struggle and how the struggle was actualized and how it has been from the creation of the state even till date.
Okay.
We have that exhibition in pictorial.
Okay. For instance, what can we find in those pictures? Can you talk to us about that? Like
yes, we have the story, you know, from the inception, you know, when the agitation for state creation started.
Okay.
You know, we have some prominent figures there that led in this agitation, and then over time, how the thing trickled down till the state was created. And when the state was created, we have, just like he mentioned, the governments that started, Godwin Abbey, other people that came in after him, you know, down till the political era and to where we are today.
Okay.
So we have that
you have the picture of the first office for the first government's, the seat of power.
Yes, we have even more than that.
Wow.
We have a what I call it now, a prototype, you know, because when we had to move from Barracks Road to where we are presently, the seat that the first governor used, his desk, and even his uniform and other paraphernalia, we displayed it in an office space. We arranged it even to the sofa, the sofa chairs that were in the office. Yes, you know, and his telephone and everything. They are all there intact. So it's an experience that when people come in there, they see firsthand what the state's office was like at the inception.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now to Mr. Kon, is the museum, are you open to, you know, people bringing in, for instance, I have pictures that I think should be preserved. Can I just walk down to the museum and talk to you about it? You know.
You are always welcome. You see, like we talk about museum, we have a means of getting our artifacts.
And what are those means also?
Yeah, the means of getting our artifacts is at times we have it by purchase, we have it by donation, we have it by seizure, and we have it as a means of, say, group. It could be a group, it could be a person, like you have said, because we have some families that bequeath those things that their parents had. Like we talked with you, we have the pamphlet of the first medical doctor of Akwa Ibom State. That was Dr. Ntia Bongeko.
First medical doctor?
Yes.
Wow.
We have the one of the first graduate of agriculture in Nigeria, Chief Basi Udod Yagata, the father to Obom Victor Tak.
Wow.
So we have all these things. Like we talk about the merchant of lights in Akwa Ibom State, those that were sent to study abroad.
Okay.
So those two I've just mentioned were from that extraction. We have Dr. Albert Udo Udoma, the father to the then Senator Udo Udoma.
Yeah.
He was the Chief Judge of Uganda in the regime of Idi Amin. and he has been a source of inspiration. Obong Samson Odoidion was in that group, the grandfather of Mata Odom.
Wow.
So you see, government is government by lineage. So you see, they have the lineup. Like we talk about the Godswill Oborokbabio today. The uncle was the first minister of education in this country, Ayu Okbabio. So you see the lineup. So from that lineage, you see people coming up to power today. And like it happens, if you come out today, they will ask you, from which stock are you from? So to say, in the museum, we let people understand all these things. If you go to Bibia Museum, you see the photographs of these people that represented the 6 region. Then they're called province.
Yeah.
The 6 provinces, those that represented the 6 provinces. I've just mentioned about 4 thereabout. So you see, those were the people. And in keeping these things, schools will come and learn about it. We have Department of Anthropology and Sociology. We have the Cultural Study Department. We have the Department of History and International Studies that has been coming. Added with schools, secondary schools that have been coming.
Okay.
See, you know from the Ibibio Union days, knowing that the Ibibio Union was established in 1929. So that was when they had their first conference. And we know primary school of Araku was the first place that the core state movement had their inauguration. So that place is a monument. And it is what the museum treasures so very well, monument and statues of importance. Because when we talk about those things, it has a universal value.
Yeah.
Because of this universal value, it is why people treasure it, and that's why we treasure these things, because it has the story of the past being played up till today. Another monument is the cenotaph.
Okay.
Along Akar Road.
Yeah. Okay.
We have another monument, number 1 Barracks Road. If you go there,
Number 1 Barracks
number
Road.
1 Barracks Road.
Okay.
As you are going to Barracks Road, that first house is the house of Chief Udok.
Well, number 1 by the left.
By the right.
By the right.
By the right.
Number 1 Barracks Road.
Number 1 Barracks
I'll
Road.
look out for that.
Just step in, you see everything is just customized wood. And like I said,
Perhaps there should be some signage, something for people to identify, so that somebody can just turn his eyes and see the first, and will want to go in and see what's in the building.
that's why when we talk about the tourism map of Akwa Ibom, that's what should be done.
Okay.
So it should be people in collaboration with the state government and the museum. We bring out most of this information, because there's some information I know the states people, they know some, but we are the keeper of these things.
And it needs to be preserved, passed to the next generation.
Yes, like that place needs not to be given out to some people. Let me shock you. If you go to Ikorabasi today, Lord Lugard House is an apology. That's a place the state government basically.
Have you been there recently? Because I heard there's some renovations going on there, so that it can attract people to.
That's what I want to say. With that, we have the point of no return.
Yeah.
These are the places we need our children yet unborn to come and see. Then we should preserve those things. In the first time, the government wouldn't have allowed that place to have gone to that level. The preservation. It is the museum that preserves this thing. Like my curator have rightly said, the museum is federal establishment. An institution such as that, we have been given the mandate to do all these things. Then museum should be called. We know what to do. We know how to preserve these things.
I trust that the government of the day, because they are really, really, into tourism development, I trust that much is being done to that effect. All right, let's talk about Akwa Ibom at 37. Vis-a-vis our cultural heritage, artifacts, our monuments. How far have we gone as a people, and what's worth being preserved?
Well, let me start by answering that last question. I think everything cultural is what being preserved, because that is what or who we are. You know, like when you asked how valuable are our objects are priceless. In fact, we cannot place any price on them. We prefer those objects to be kept safe, because the story they carry is a story that you cannot tell otherwise. So we value these objects very, very seriously. The states, you know, has an origin. The state have people, they have culture, and that is what makes us distinct. You see, Nigeria is a very unique country in that we have very distinct groups, you know, together. But these distinct groups still maintain and keep their culture. You know, we talk about the languages, talk about the dances, the festivals, the different things that we do. They are unique. Like the one that like Akwa Ibom State, you know, it has its own culture and way of life that we have to build on. As a people, if we don't keep those things, you know, if we don't keep those things in the fore, we will lose who we are. We will not know who we are. Any other culture can come and sweep away the culture that we have. So the culture in the state, the state is made of diverse people, and what we do as an institution is we try to get from these different people whatever it is that we can, you know, keep in our custody to tell their story. So that is just basically what we are trying to do in the museum.
Okay.
Even you here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We just celebrated the 37th anniversary of our statehood. We're still basking in the euphoria. We're about to celebrate the Nigerians' independence anniversary as well. Now, is there any event, you know, planned at the museum? Any side attractions, you know?
For now, actually, yes, the museum, like I say, is open to people coming in, and this is when that story that I told you about, the exhibition we have on display now, pictorial though, this is when that story comes to the fore. You know, the struggle for the state, how it was achieved, and how we have gone or come so far. You know, but unfortunately, like I have said before, we need to really up this and showcase it to the people so that the people will know. But I would say that we really need the partnership of the state government. The museum is a federal institution, but largely the museum cannot survive without the input of the state government. We need the state government to come in. For example, if that exhibition was modernized, it has been there for ages. In fact, it was there since Barracks Road, and it's still there now. If that exhibition is modernized and made very comfortable for the viewers or the community, people will want to come in to see those things, to know how the state came about. You know, so those are some of the things that we would have loved to see happen, but unfortunately, because of paucity of funds and other resources, we've not been able to really come in. And well, we were hoping for a partnership with the state, especially at this celebration, but unfortunately that has not really kicked off as of now. Yes.
All right, as we begin to wind down, Mr. Kon, your perspective, Akwa Ibom at 37, how would you say, what's your perspective of how far we've come?
I want to say that Akwa Ibom at 37 has come a long way. When we want to start from the genesis of the state's creation being the fact that from the very Tunde Obeha, we will know that the information base, like we have the Akwa Ibom station here, it was operated from Abak.
Yeah.
Right. It was operated from Abak, the AM station from Abak at that time. So you know that now we have places, and from one government to the other, they keep things. They continue to make some good projections that Akwa Ibom State has come of age. Now I want to say that with the arise agenda of the present government, things has been put in place. I want to thank different administrations in Akwa Ibom State, because no matter what, they have done something. They have done something.
Okay.
And like this present government, I want to thank this present government because the way the government have started putting things on place, looking for things. Like we talk about the tourism roadmap of Akwa Ibom. The present government of His Excellency Governor Moino has done so very well.
Okay.
Because if we talk about the Christmas village, yeah, you can see that there's been some renovation improvement that comes in, that they give different days to different local government to showcase their cultural heritage. That has been a very good one. So at 37, Akwa Ibom, educationally, culturally, religiously, and what have you, politically, they have gone so far.
Okay, Mr. Bongo Basi.
Yes, please.
Akwa Ibom at 37, your perspective.
Yes, Akwa Ibom has really come a long way, like my colleague has said, and but there's still much more ahead of Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom has, in fact, it is aptly named the state of promise. You know, the land of promise. Yes, it is. It has a lot of potential. I came into Akwa Ibom September 2022. That was when I was posted here.
Okay. Where's Mr. Bongo Basi from?
I'm from Mbu.
Okay,
I'm
from Akwa Ibom.
I'm from Akwa Ibom, yes.
Right.
So, when I came in here and I saw the potential in the states, that is one of the things that thrilled me and excited me.
Okay.
And I felt that our museum in the state capital should not be like it is now. Okay. That is where our culture will be showcased to the world, and that is one of the things that gave me the strength to stay, because I saw the potential that this thing can really come to fruition. Akwa Ibom has potential, it has a future. And when I came in and I saw I came in during the political, you know, it was just about the time that politicking was going towards election, and then after the election, you know, the swearing in, and I saw the governance style of the governor that came in, the new governor that stepped in. When I saw his governance style, it's very empathic. He touches the people, and he has a feeling for the people. So that shows that he is the right person that can set the trajectory to take Akwa Ibom to, in fact, very enviable height in the nearest future.
Okay. All right. I want to say thank you to my guests. We have the curator just beside me, National Museum with you, Mr. Kokun Bongo Basi. Thank you so much for your time. And we also have the head of galleries, National Museum with you, Mr. Nsebon Ikon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We have more for you on Centerpoint AM45. Do stay with us. Thank you, sir.
Everything you go through in life is preparing you for your next assignment. My father was a police officer, so I lived in the barracks. A barracks like a mini in Nigeria, you know, you find everybody there. My dad's salary, of course, couldn't meet the family income, so I had to sell soft drinks for my mother so that we can make up the family income. I used to take soft drinks from our home and I'll go to the airport and sell. It was fun. I didn't know I was going to ever get into hotel business. So eventually, my cook hawking helped me later in life when I started running my hotel. Those little things you did became building blocks for my later days in life. And you know what? My house was built on the same street I used to go through to hawk. And so everybody that saw me hawk these soft drinks for my mother, when I bought a land there and built my house, all of those people were still alive. It's like, some of them had to break their